I call the Public Safety Emergency Management meeting for February 1st, 2024 to order. May I get nominations for chair? Deputy Mayor Steinmetz.
I nominate Mayor Tracy Buxton.
Okay. Do you accept?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you.
I accept.
Okay. Congratulations, you are chair.
Thank you. So second order of business would be to select a co-chair, vice chair. Do I have any nominations for vice chair?
I nominate, I'm sorry, I nominate Grace Matsui.
Do you receive that nomination, Councilmember Grace Matsui?
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. So do we have a vote in favor of Councilmember Grace Matsui for co-chair, vice chair? Okay, looks like it's unanimous. Good with that? Okay. So
I move that we approve the November 16th meeting minutes.
second. All in favor? Looks like it's unanimous. Okay, thank you. So the next order of business is the proposed work plan, and I'm going to hand that over to the chief to give us a presentation tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, council members. Tim Gately on behalf of the police department. I'm joined by my friend in emergency management.
Shannon Kirchberg, Director of Emergency Management and Workplace Safety.
You have before you a proposed work plan for 2024. Each month lists plans, topics of interest, and items in our goals and strategies derived from both police and emergency management. We did allow for some planning of not meeting in July, if that so moves you, due to the influx of community events during that month. We're happy to take any questions or make adjustments as you please.
Any questions? I do have, oh, were you going to raise your hand?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Steinmetz.
Okay. Yeah. Chief, are there any ordinances that you can think of that that either the city needs to create and we need to put some time into that, or that are just in real need of updating, and that we should try to be addressing this year?
None off the top of my head. I will tell you we have a couple we monitor on a day-to-day basis just to ensure that we're in alignment with our other cities. So the one that comes to mind is ordinance impacting public camping. So that's something that we monitor both from legal and police on a constant basis to make sure we have the right tools in place to keep the peace, keep order, and I don't have any outstanding items I anticipate needing to change in the immediate.
Okay, thank you.
I do see
Councilmember
two.
Grace.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Do see two on the work plan, one in March and one in April. Fireworks on premises ordinance. I believe that was an update to the current fireworks enforcement, and the dangerous dog code update, I think, might be newish. That's the first I've heard of it.
I can explain those.
Go ahead.
So the fireworks on premises was something we discussed last year in relation to 4th of July. One issue we're having, so fireworks are illegal in Des Moines. When we get calls, if it's a house party, the officer would need to witness the individual that's lighting off the firework in order to cite them. So if you have a party with 30 people at the house, no one's going to admit to it, right? So we did some research. We found some other cities that have these fireworks on premises prohibitions, which would allow the officer to cite the property owner. So it would kind of speed things up, hold someone accountable, and then at that point, it's the property owner's problem to address the fireworks that are going off on their property. So that's something that we've brought forward. It can be a fairly simple ordinance, so that we've scheduled that for March to discuss with the committee, and then we could bring that forward and have it adopted prior to the 4th of July in effect. The dangerous dog code update is something that we just ran into based on the emails the council received, we had a dog that had bitten a few people in its history. The dog was impounded. Based on our code, we had a date set to follow through with what our code required us to do. The dog owner retained an attorney who's actually nationally well known for handling animal cases. And he did a deep dive on our city code and found a number of places that the law has changed, burdens of proof have changed. He's been to the Supreme Court on animal cases, so he was citing his own cases. And so as a result of that, as you're aware, the dog, we ended up, you may not be aware of this piece, but we entered into a settlement agreement with some requirements for the dog owner to hopefully ensure the safety of residents and visitors. But we couldn't move forward with what our code required us to do because of some issues that needed to be updated. So at this moment, you know, we don't really have the ability to enforce some provisions of our dangerous dog code. And so we would like to bring forward, it's a little more complicated than just the fireworks code, but we need to do some research and update that code. So we'd like to bring it forward as early as April for committee review, and then try to get it in front of the council shortly thereafter, just so that we're fully legal, and if these issues arise, we'll be able to take care of them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, council member? No? I do have a question. If, in regard to the no meeting in July versus August, actually, if there's a particular set of obligations in July that July is more overwhelming than August, we fairly typically have only one meeting in August, usually at the beginning. And a lot of other government agencies either cancel their August meetings or almost cancel them all. So I'm just wondering if that's a possibility, if it's just as busy, if we might keep our July meeting and cancel the August meeting, if you're weighing it, unless there's something else there.
So the first Thursday in July is the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to meet on the 4th of July. So that's the Public Safety Committee.
I see what you're saying, because it's always the first Thursday, correct.
So if we were to reschedule it, we'd have to reschedule it on a date where we probably don't have a council meeting.
Because all the rest of the council meetings in July are coupled with 2 committee meetings. I see what you're saying. So, and what about the first one in July? Is that also coupled with finance and, well, tonight it's public safety. So, first meeting in August. And let's see, they're already meeting in August, so, okay. Since we have to meet once in August anyway, so I guess that works out well for you guys. Okay, it's a good answer for me. Just thought I would shoot from the hip there. Okay.
I guess with that said, if there was an emergency that came up, we could set a committee meeting really at any time.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, we don't meet the 3rd Thursday of the month, and then because of the 4th, we wouldn't meet the first Thursday in July.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Thank you. So, in regard to, I know we asked the question of the chief, but to our emergency management director, is there anything that you are thinking maybe we could do for you? Do you need anything? Are you considering any ordinances or resolutions that would be helpful to you in your work this year?
No ordinances or resolutions this year. We're working on a couple of annexes in emergency management, so there will be a debris management plan annex to the county annex, as well as the hazard mitigation annex to the county's hazard mitigation plan that will be coming forward to council. So,
what do you mean by an annex? Could you explain that?
Sure.
Is it a document or a location or?
It's a plan.
Okay.
So it's a county plan, and as a smaller city, we put an annex attached to the county plan because they do a lot of the studies, the environmental studies, and provide us with the county overview to utilize their plan to be approved by FEMA so that we don't have to put forth the funds to have different organizations come in and help us with these different assessments to determine what our debris removal per square foot would be. We can count on their calculations for the county as a whole. So we annex onto their plan instead of putting forth the time and effort in building our own massive plan. We are doing our own debris management plan. We've been working on it for about the past year or so. And we'll continue to work on that with Public Works, and that will replace our annex once completed. And the only reason that we are working on our own debris management plan is we want to have our own contract with our own independent companies that would come in and help us remove debris instead of relying on the county to supply us with somebody to manage our debris, because we're going to have special debris in comparison to other regions of King County. So we want to make sure that we have our contractors lined up for our needs in the city of Des Moines.
When you're talking about debris removal, are you talking about in the case of an emergency or something that happens annually?
In an emergency. So it would be due to earthquake, extreme weather, mudslide, wildfire, massive structure fire, something that was deemed an emergency by the city manager, the county, or the state or federal government.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, and especially because we're on the waterfront, right?
Yeah.
So we have impacts that are different than maybe other cities.
Exactly. Removing vessels from the waterfront could be.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Those were my only questions. So let's take a look here, and I think that brings us to the end of the plan, this briefing. It's a great briefing, so I think as we move through the year, there will be more activity and more questions. So great. If nobody else has anything. Do we need to adopt the work plan? That's a good question. I think that we do. Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to adopt the PSEM work plan for 2024?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you so much. Okay, well, and it looks like it's time for adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.